Hi guys, my name's Ashton Forston Calvert, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my project for EDIT 5397. For this project, I worked with Texas Tech University to review online courses for TTUISD. As I said, I was working with Texas Tech University and project supervisor Cheryl Mayfield. She is the TTU K12 Associate Director of Curriculum. For this project, I was reviewing online courses for Texas Tech University's independent school district. The objective of this project was to evaluate online courses using the OSCQR rubric to ensure that courses are developed properly for student success. Deliverables for this project included a thorough review of the online courses as well as a written summary statement of any suggestions, concerns, or comments I had regarding these online courses. A little background about the Texas Tech University K12 program is that it is an online school that is created to provide an education for students who are in special situations or students with needs that cannot be met in a traditional classroom setting. Texas Tech University has an independent school district, and it is an accredited school district and is required to follow the same state standards as any other school district within the state of Texas. Those standards are known as the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills Standards, better known as TEKS for those of us in education. In this program, students K through 12 are served, which I find to be really unique because often when we think of online courses, we think of high school and up. So this was a really neat opportunity to see how courses are being developed for younger students. One goal TTU ISD has is that students are receiving a quality education that's going to prepare them for college or career. So the overall purpose of this project was to work with designers on reviewing online courses to ensure that they were ready to be published for students to enroll in so that they could begin taking courses necessary to progress through school. Some of the key accomplishments I have from this project include identifying strengths and weaknesses for each online course I reviewed, as well as developing an action plan for course improvement. For me, this was really culminating of everything that we've been doing in the EDIT program, really getting to see course design in action and implementation of that course, and reviewing all of the even minute details that go into creating a course that is most successful for students. For my review, I was using the OSCQR rubric as mentioned earlier. There is an example of that on the right side of your screen. For the review, I was looking at multiple areas, including the course overview, technology tools that are used for the course, the design, the layout, the content and activities, the interaction that happens for students and with the instructor, as well as assessments and feedback. All of these areas are crucial for an online course to be successful. And with this rubric, I dug in and looked at each very independent section. So for example, in the course overview and information, I would be looking at the syllabus and also be looking at course statements, appropriate methods of participating in the course. Does it list the technology tools that are necessary for success? Other sections include looking at privacy policies and copyrights, all of these things that we know about but might not necessarily think about as we're developing an online course. And like I said, I would develop an action plan for things that were an area of weakness. So if I felt like a course syllabus didn't have the appropriate information or was missing some details that would be necessary for students, those would be things that I would suggest that need to be added. or if a course is maybe lacking student interaction, like in a discussion board, if there's not opportunities for students to get to know one another or ask questions, have that open communication, those would be things that we would look at to add into the course in order to make students feel most comfortable and at home. Another accomplishment was creating a thorough review for each online course using that action plan that was created from the rubric. Each course that I reviewed had a detailed summary of things that were functioning really well, things that could be improved upon, and things that just need changed. What I really enjoyed about this experience was that I was given the opportunity not only to look at a fully developed course and see what was working well for it, but to make suggestions that I believed were necessary for the course to make it the most successful it could be. So, for example, I reviewed 4 total online courses. 2 of them were lumped together. So, a U.S. History course 1A, U.S. History course 1B. Course 1A was a first semester, 1B was second semester. So, while they were 2 separate courses, there had to be a continuity for each course so that students were right on track with the change of the semester. So those are the kinds of things, making sure that the flow was there, that the design was still fluid throughout, making sure that the expectations still match from one course to another. Those would be things that we would look for and suggest in the summary. Some things that I learned from this experience was the amount of detail that's necessary for developing an online course. Of course, by now, many of us have developed a course or 2 or 3 during our time with the EDIT program, but those courses have not been as in-depth as the ones that I reviewed. There are so many working pieces that have to be considered when creating an online course. And it's just amazing the amount of detail that's put into it. Another thing that I learned is how much of an effect the design of a course can have on the students that are enrolled. If there is not fluidity and consistency, it can make things very confusing for students. I reviewed courses that were very well thought out and designed to the tiniest of details. And then I reviewed courses that were still very much so in the development phase. And if improvements or changes had not been made to those courses, students would have found themselves very frustrated and confused about what was happening. Another thing that I learned was the steps that are required to review an online course. We're used to using rubrics and checking ourselves, but to really go in depth and make sure that you are reviewing each tiny piece is a process even within itself. And then, of course, the amount of time required for the reviews and making necessary changes for online courses. Like I stated earlier, most of these courses are reviewed multiple times and multiple changes are made before they are ever finally published for student use. So it is a very extended and drawn out process. Some challenges that I had for this project were just reviewing an online course for the first time. Upon first glance, you're looking at a course and the key components are the things that we expect to see in an online course: discussion boards, content, syllabus, interaction, collaboration. Those kinds of things are present, but really diving in and looking at in depth at those things, does it offer opportunities for students to constructively collaborate? Does it offer a variety of engaging resources and facilitate those conversations? Does it instill those higher order thinking skills that we want students to have? Are the materials copyrighted? Are they being used properly? Do those links work? So there's a lot of aspects to consider when reviewing. Another challenge was identifying those areas of improvement. You can see areas that don't make sense, but coming up with an appropriate solution was a working process as well. And then, of course, finding an applicable solution. There are some things that I suggested that designers might not agree with. Maybe they have a better idea that they could change it to instead. So finding a balance of what will work and what doesn't work. And then lastly, developing the formative evaluation was difficult just because while I did create a product of a review, it's not a product that is necessarily going to be tested by anyone. The designers for these online courses will be looking at my reviews and then using those suggestions to make further changes. So they would be more so evaluating my work rather than giving it to someone to try out. Overall, I had a fabulous time working on this project. My supervisor, Miss Mayfield, was amazing. She always answered any questions I had, any concerns I had. She worked with me to make sure that I was able to review courses that were within my area of specialties. I love history, and so fortunately I was able to review history courses, which gave me an upper hand because I am more knowledgeable in that area, so I kind of knew what to look for and what to expect. And in the end, it feels really good to know that while I was unsure in the beginning of how to start a review, that by the end, the work I did was exactly what they were looking for out of this project. Finally, my formative evaluation is an attitude questionnaire by a subject matter expert. It's a combination of formative evaluations. Since my project really consisted of creating a review, I felt that it was necessary for someone like an instructional designer to make sure that I have thoroughly reviewed a course to the best of my abilities. And if there are areas where I need to go back and improve, then those are the kinds of things that I would want to know or be looking for. I use the Likert scale 1 through 5, and the questions were based off of my performance overall. And I used Google Forms to create my evaluation. In the end, this was a really excellent project, and I can't wait to take the skills that I gained from it and apply it to future development of online courses in hopes that I can be just as successful as the TTUISD program has become. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I look forward to hearing from each of you.